Spaces, American Corners. We are delighted to be with you today and to enjoy the connectivity that we have through this technology, but also the physical American spaces. So important for us to get together and convene, discuss, analyze, learn from each other, and learn from the resources that the American spaces have to offer. We now are up to 27 American spaces around Nigeria, including two of which include this American Center here in Abuja and the American Center at our consulate in Lagos. So among the many wonderful programs that American Spaces does is the Alumni Speaker Series. And I'm particularly fond of this series. I've done them in other countries I've served in as public affairs officer or even information officer, spokesperson. And the reason I love this program so much is we really get to hear expertise from people who have participated in our U.S. exchange programs. There are so many of them that the U.S. government offers. I won't go through them all. You're familiar with them. We have one considered a decades-long flagship program called the International Visitor Leadership Program. That's what our honored guest is going who participated in that today. And what's cool about him, but also all of our alumni, is we stay connected after their exchange programs, because we find that we have many areas of mutual interest and like-mindedness. And as we all know, together we have the power of change for positive change. And for me, that's what the essence of this is. What it all boils down to is we want to make a difference in our families, of course, but in our communities, in our cities, and in our countries, and at times internationally, globally. And we can do that through positivity and applying our expertise for good. And we all have that something special for expertise. So I will briefly introduce a little bit about our background, or the background of Osaze Efe, who's with us and will be speaking to us today. He's the founder and director of the Abuja Photo Festival and Art for Humanity Foundation, an international photo festival curator based in Abuja. So we're extra lucky to have him physically here in our American Center at the Embassy this morning. We know that he is passionate about exploring innovative ways of visual engagement and broadening artistic discussions surrounding social change. As a curator for art festivals, Osaze has created a platform for reflection, inspiration, and dialogue on the transformative power of photography in advocating for development. So among all the great work that Osaze's done, including the Abuja Photo Festival, he has worked with over 3,000 young individuals, empowering them to channel their creative energy into documenting important narratives while offering mentorship to guide their artistic career paths. In 2022, Osaze was nominated by the U.S. Embassy Abuja and participated in the prestigious International Visitor Leadership Program, which is one of our many exchange programs that I mentioned. Today, we will hear about the impactful work he has been doing since his return from his program in the United States. I'm going to say also that I'm especially fond of Osaze's expertise because I've, throughout my life, been inspired by photography and film. And it really is true that when it comes to photography, a picture is worth 1,000 words. There's just so many examples of how one picture that's captured can really motivate change. So I just brought a really snapshot in time, let's say, example of one of a few photos, if you can see that a little bit, of child labor in the United States around the turn of the 20th century, the early 1900s. And it was, photography was coming into its own back then. And it was these kinds of pictures, these kinds of photos that made it into the newspapers, that circulated among, let's say, people in American society back then who could be influential in making changes and reforms with respect to child labor. And these kind of impactful photos, again, photography was just coming into its own, really touched the sensibilities of American citizens. And it did in photos like these and other people involved in the issue did lead to child labor reform in the United States, raising the legal working age to much later in life. Nowadays, some states of the United States, the minimum age that you can enter the workforce is 16. Other states, it's later. But to avoid or steal the childhood, as they used to say, of child laborers, in this case, these kids worked in coal mines in Pennsylvania. It changed the trajectory of American culture, because kids out of school obviously aren't getting educated, but when the kids got back in school because they were legally prohibited from working, then the productivity of the United States increased, the intellectual capacity, let's say, increased, because we had a smarter and smarter population of generations growing up going to school. So many benefits emanated, I'm not going to list them all, from child labor reform. And there's been so many other photos, countless, that I could talk about, but I won't, because we are here to hear from Osaze. And again, we're very grateful for his company today, and we look forward to learning from him. Thank you, Osaze.
Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you to the team at the embassy, and most importantly, thank you to everyone across the American spaces and centers scattered across Nigeria. I'm really honored to be here this morning. And it's always exciting when I get an invitation from the embassy to attend an event or to participate in such opportunity to share what my experiences were when in 2022 I was invited for the IVLP program. For me, the IVLP program in 2022 actually changed not just my career, but my life. It broadened my worldview. It made me see that the work that I do as a visual artist, and most importantly, as a mentor of documentary photographers and photojournalists, that it's not just about taking pictures, but actually curating the next generation of change makers. The visit helped me center my local impact within the context of global intervention, visiting institutions like the Smithsonian, visiting different individual organizations who are using the art, visual art, photography, film to advocate for social change was such a game changer for me. And also I made friends. I tasted food that I'm still trying to get my palate to be familiar with. I experienced weather that I've never had before. I remember just before we left, before we came back to Nigeria, it was really, really snowy. But somehow these are the things that has so enriched my life as an individual and impacted the work that I do at Art for Humanity and the Abuja Photo Festival. Of course, as the conversation progresses, we would speak more specifically to that. So once again, I really want to thank the team at the embassy for this honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Osaze. And let me welcome you once more on this program. I know that we are going to have a great time this morning. So like we have discussed, it's going to be an interactive session. And I want to encourage all our audiences in our spaces to get set to ask Osaze questions because it could be a defining moment for someone in-house this morning. So I would like to ask if you could go back and give advice to your younger self before your exchange program, what would that be?
Thank you so much for that question. The advice I would give to my younger self, I think, is the same thing that I would still give to myself because it's not time bound. It's the fact that do good work, do honest work. When you do good work, when you do honest work, when you're motivated by higher ideal to make substantial contributions to your community, you're going to be noticed and you're going to be seen. Yeah, we live in a very fast generation where delayed gratification is it's the culture. Having to what is in need for me, it's the culture where people prioritize self over the community. As a young person, when you pursue the ideal of service or you pursue the ideal of creating value, that it's going to put you in a different category. So the advice to that younger self is find that thing that makes you tick, that just makes you a fulfilled person, and do it. You might not be recognized, you might not even be paid, but you know in your heart that you're creating value. And as an advice to my younger self, I remember when I was called for this opportunity for this exchange program. I remember where I was when Miss Bella from the embassy called. I remember where I was and I remember what the conversation was. I never expected it. Yes, I've been hearing about IVLP. I never expected it, but I felt happy. I felt seen. So to my younger self, do that work. You're being watched, you're being seen, even though you may not be announced there. At some point, you'll be invited over to the table.
Thank you very much. This program is also meant to inspire and encourage the young people in our American spaces. I want you to talk a little bit about where you were before you get the opportunity for this IVLP nomination.
Okay, so I would speak to that where I was in my career and where I was as a person. As at that time, we were, I think, at the 4th or the 5th year of doing the Abuja Photo Festival. Where we were at that point was using, research from books, from videos on YouTube, and learning from what other people were doing online to, scale what we were doing. We've really never had the opportunity to participate in international, to visit international institutions who were using the art as a tool for social change, which is actually the heart and soul of what we do at Abuja Photo Festival and Art for Humanity. So we were, I would say we were operating in a very linear mode. We could get as much as we could from the internet. That's limited. There's nothing like having a physical experience and sitting down with people who are doing what doing or aspire to do and have that physical conversations with them. So that's where we were until the call came, and that trip just gave us a trajectory that we would, of course, we'll never be able to unlearn the things that we have learned. That's what we were. Then for me also personally, doing stuff in Abuja and all of that, it was great. Okay, but I was also at a point where I really did not have friends that I could exchange ideas with. People who were doing other festivals, not necessarily photo festivals, but other art or visual art festivals in their different countries. So yes, we could exchange emails with people that I randomly met online, But the visit put me in a room where I was sitting down with 26 or 25 other young, creative, amazing people from Israel to Kyrgyzstan, from Mexico to Tanzania, and we spent 2 weeks together. Having to just hear what you're doing, having been, just to get inspired by what we're doing, just upped my mind to a whole new level. And that has shifted me in terms of my circle, okay, across the world. Like I said, these were individuals from 25 different countries. So that shifted me from being a guy who's doing his, putting in his best in Nigeria to now having contact and learning community, active learning community, I must say, from 25 other countries. So that just shifted, me personally, to the point where we're having conversations to see how we can even visit individual countries, to build on what we were privileged to have experienced in the 2 weeks we spent together in the US.
Thank you very much. A lot of young people do so many things, but they may not be able to focus on how to direct those things to create opportunity for them, like the one you had. So I want you to speak to young people in the room this morning, how to leverage their experiences to stand out in a competitive application process or exchange programs or even in the job market.
Thank you so much once again. I'll go back to what I said in my opening, I think. Do honest work. Do the work that you love. Do the work to make impact. I see myself as holding the Abuja Photo Festival and Art for Humanity in trust for the Nigeria, Africa, global community. I may be the face, I may be the front person, but I'm holding this project in trust. And I do my best to stay out of trouble, all kinds of troubles, because at some point, I see this as my life work. So for you to be able to, make that connection, you must come to the table with genuineness and authenticity. I never knew that I'm going to get that call that day from the embassy that, hey, Osaze, we've seen what you're doing, and come and go to the US, come and go to the United States and build capacity and expand your understanding, your knowledge and competence. When you do that work, also important, it's don't just within your circle. I bombard the embassy with email, updating them on what I do. And every post that we make on social media, I make sure, we try our best to tag the embassy. It's not just to know that we're doing good work, but this good work needs to be seen. And when the festival is coming, we write to the embassy, inviting the embassy to come and see what we're doing. So do the good work, then build relationship. Like I always say, that relationship is the infrastructure by which resources travel. Okay, so when you do that good work, you must be strategic enough to be able to make the right audience see the work that you're doing. They may not even like your social media post. They may not even comment. They may not even retweet or repost, as the case may be. They may not even reply your email. But I can tell you, you are seen. They see what you're doing. All right. Because they see what you're doing, they are also looking for opportunities for partnership that you may not even be aware of. So it may seem like it's a lonely journey. Okay, so we've been doing the photo festival for about 4 or 5 years, as the case may be. Then out of, as a quote and unquote, nowhere, we got this call, and that has brought about change. So do the work, keep putting it in, and that's why the genuineness comes in. Because if you're doing this for the money, if you're doing this for the likes on social media, if you're doing this to be seen, if you're not getting those likes or you're not being seen, you are going to chicken out because your motive is wrong. But if you're doing this as your life work, even if nobody is clapping for you, even if you're not getting all the uploads, you know in your heart that you're doing what makes you fulfilled. You know that you are making a contribution, and that itself is already a reward. So whatever then comes on it, it's icing the cake, because of yourself and in yourself, you're fulfilled. Okay, so I would advise, do the work, build that relationship, and stay consistent, with it.
Thank you very much. So let's move to your exchange experience. I know you've delved a little bit into some of the things that you encounter, like the food and the people in your cohort. So what specific experiences from exchange program do you believe contributed the most to your current success?
When we were, so we were, of course, DC, what we do, you first, touch down and get to understand the United States system, the political system, the cultural system, and all of that. Then from there, we moved to Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs was a game changer for me when we visited the Youth Documentary Academy. We had a conversation with Tom Shepard. Yes, that's his name because I'm still in touch with him, who is the director of the academy. The academy mentors young teenagers who use storytelling to talk about their own personal story. And these short films are now distributed, screened in different locations and all of that. For me, it resonated deeply because it's at the heart of what I do in Abuja using photography. Then it also inspired me to start looking at filmmaking, at what we do at the photo festival, that we shouldn't just stay within the confines of photography. We should also extend these things to young filmmaker. There we saw films of, there was this young girl that had issue with the dad when she was growing up and all of that, and she reconciled with the dad. The film was very emotional. I had to hold myself back from sharing it. That was a key moment for me. That's the first one. And of course, the relationship that I am Mr. Tom, we're still very much in touch and having a conversation to see how we can be on the board of what we do at Art for Humanity. We got to New York. On the last day, there's this man who came to have a conversation with us in the one of the halls in the hotel we're staying. His work is about human rights. While he was speaking, it hit me that, hey, Osaze, we can tell human rights stories from a new perspective. And of course, that led to what we now call photographers for human rights, where we do not just only look at the somewhat of the negative aspects of human rights, but we can start telling the stories of human rights heroes, people who are standing up on behalf of others. And that became the project. When I got the grant from the IVP, that became the pilot project that we did, that we call Framing Rights, where I got the community of 5 photographers and filmmakers together that look for stories of men, women in the society who are champions of human rights, who are champions, who are standing up for others. Let's amplify this story. Let's magnify this story and use that as a tool to see what is possible as individual and collective responsibility, and what is possible if the right narrative is being promoted. The social media, this news space, everywhere is bombarded with all the human rights violations. But I'm sure there's 1 or 2 persons who are there, who's out there, who is making a difference. So that experience in New York inspired, photographers for human rights, which now inspired the project that we did, with the grants that we received. So those 2 experiences actually were very pivotal. Of course, visiting the Smithsonian, the Portrait Museum the Portrait Museum in DC. What that did for me was I walked into a museum that I would say is as large as like it had no end. In my mind, I'm like, can't it be a place like this? So that opened my mind to what is possible. You walk into different directions, you walk into different rooms, you see different stories, you see different portraits, you hear different narratives, the aesthetics and everything. It just blew my mind. And I have been amongst my friends and of my friends in government to having that, conversations with them, like, how can we have an international standard museum in Abuja? It is very possible. So that opened my mind, and I cannot unlearn that anymore. So these were the very critical point in the course of the exchange program.
Yeah, great. I'm also looking forward to a time that you are going to use your arts to talk about what we do in American spaces. So, can you share a challenge you faced during your exchange and how you were able to overcome it, and it set the stage for the current achievements that you are enjoying?
I would particularly say there was a challenge. I just wish there was a longer time to
Mm,
soak in as much as possible. Like I had mentioned, the trip, the visit, the program shifted us from doing at a level in Nigeria, doing at a level in Abuja, to really having a global perspective now. I'll reference the experience again in New York City. It
mm,
made the work that we do to now fit into a broader narrative. Okay, now we can now specifically see how we can layer the work that we do. Yes, it's been about art for social change. How can we use visual storytelling to advocate rights, promote development, raise awareness, push for advocacy. All right, but now we understood from that exchange program that this is how this thing fits into global conversation. So making us not now working in isolation to the best of our knowledge and ability, but seeing how this fits into what's happening in other parts of the world. Okay, so the I wouldn't call it a challenge, but the only thing would have been visit more states, stay longer time and have more conversations and visit more spaces where they are using art for social change to advance the world. But the short 2 weeks that we had was very well to impact on our work.
okay. So, what role did cultural exchange play in shaping your worldview and professional opportunities?
We visited the Holocaust Museum in DC, and I remember walking into two places that just got me really emotional. First, there was this space where the shoes of the people who were sent to the camp, the shoes they had on before they were marched to the camp, were all kept there. Then we saw another place was curated. The frame that people had in their houses, just like people have in the houses, were all collected and put there. Those two places impacted me in a very personal way, and that's because there was a collection, a social-cultural collection of those items. When we read about these things in the book, fine and good, but when there is that cultural, there is that deliberate cultural step to collect these things and you interact with them, you see them firsthand, it leaves an impression that you may not be able to recover from. So that has also inspired the work that we do at the photo festival. So we actually started having that conversation in 2023 into last year, where we went to art collectors and very, very senior photographers in Nigeria, asking them to loan us, for the art collectors, some of the artworks in their houses that can also fit into the aesthetics of the space we're using to do the photo festival. So that you're not just only coming to see visual narrative, but see how this visual narrative fits into indigenous stories, so we can make that connection. And we are doing that this year because it fits perfectly to the theme of what we're doing of this year's photo festival, which is a world connected. For the very senior photographers, we reached out to them to ask them to loan us the tools they started the practice of photography with. So, for example, it could be the first camera they had, could be as much as the camera back they have when they were starting out. Collect these items, the flash drive, even the clothes they had, possibly some of the first printed images they have. Collect these images and curate them in the space of the festival in a way that people can see the journey, because that is critical. To be able to see where we were, where we are, and be able to map the future going forward. So, and that's the power of cultural interaction. It speaks to our identity, it speaks to our journey, and it's able to help us. So the visit to the Holocaust Museum, helped me, and of course the work that we do at the photo festival, to see how we are more intentional in bringing cultural narrative into the work.
Thank you very much. So what networking opportunities did your exchange program provide? And how did they influence your path to success?
So like I mentioned earlier, now I have friends in 25 different countries, okay?
Wow.
That's already a huge win. And we have a very active WhatsApp group, posting of what everybody is doing, even birthdays, wedding anniversaries, what different interventions that we are all doing, and if anybody is visiting any country soon. And when people visit country, we also see them on the group, taking selfies and sharing. Really, really great. So I have that pool of friends, okay, from all across the world. Then from that pool, I have a friend from Barbados, Alicia Payne. When we were during the exchange program, we got talking about financing, how the arts and culture system is being financed in Barbados. Now, she shared a few things because she works with the government institution. She said a few things about their model, which I found very, very fascinating. And I'm studying it, working with my team to see how we use that to make some recommendation to the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy on how we can explore private sector funding for the arts sector. I also mentioned Tom Shepard, the director of Youth Documentary Academy, who I am in constant touch with to see how we can be on the board of Art for Humanity. That is important because we don't just want to, just play local. We are operating in Nigeria, but the narrative that we are advocating, the narrative that we are pushing, the narrative that we are amplifying are global realities. So we will need that connection beyond our friends, our board members in Nigeria. We should be able to have relationship beyond the shores of Nigeria to be able to bring in that global perspective to it, and also bring in opportunities beyond the shores of Nigeria. So these two ways are the primary ways. And of course, lastly, my relationship with the embassy, being an alum, has also been on a much higher level. So last 2 years, when we did the program of the grant we received from the exchange, we did the training at the American space in Osaze Efe. The embassy, supported us with that, at no cost. So these are the ways by which the relationship that emanated from the exchange has benefited the work that we do and going forward.
Thank you very much. We have our audiences. So I would like to ask, if you have question, you might raise your virtual hand. If you also want to type in the chat box, you can also go ahead and do same. The skills that you have learned during the exchange program, how has it helped your career today? If you can mention some of the skills that you have learned from the exchange and how you've been able to harness them for your professional growth.
Excuse me, please.
All right. So let me go to our spaces. If you have a question, you can raise. Okay, I can see Georgina. You can unmute and ask your question.
Good morning, Ma. Good morning, everyone on the call, directors and colleagues. Good morning, dear facilitator, Mr. Osaze. From your name, I would like to confirm if you are from Edo State. And if you are from Edo State, I'm the director from Benin City, Windon, America. And I'd like to say that I'm really very impressed with all you're doing, for the impact you're driving, and for the experiences you have shared with us this morning. Really very motivating and exciting. So if you're from Edo State, please, could I please ask if it's possible for you to come domesticate some of these things that you're doing in Edo State using our space? We are very open to embrace partnership with you. And I would like to keep in touch, at least something to put some spice in our space and get people to be mentees under you and be able to blaze the trail just like you're doing. Thank you so much for coming to talk with us this morning. Good morning, and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Georgina.
Okay,
You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, I'm Benin. Yeah, it was after my University of Benin, that I came to the big city to just pursue life. I will be happy to come back home and make contributions. After all, when I retire from Abuja, I'm coming back to Benin, so I should be able to make contributions that when I retire and come back to Benin, there's something that we're doing. So please, we can take the conversation further after this call. I'll be really happy to collaborate.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let me come in quickly before. You mean when you retire, you are still looking young. That will be like 19 or 2050.
Yes, bro.
Anyway, so what she's trying to say is, we have something in American spaces we call target of opportunity speakers. So in case you are coming to that side and you would like to spend like 2-3 days, so we'd like you to, pass the thing down, just organize something and share your experiences with people in that region. Because that's very rich in heart, and that's what I think the director is trying to say.
I'll be happy to make my contributions, Prof.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you, sir.
Oshogbo, you can unmute and ask your question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Mr. Osaze, for the inspiring time with you. The last speaker, the last person that asked the question got some of my burden too. We want access to people like you because we need mentors. We don't have mentors. We need people that can guide us. Because I'm the founder of a small media organization here called Media Boys, and we're all about positive impact. We're saying no to drugs. We're fighting corruption. We're saying no more. We're fighting poverty. We're saying no to crime so that the youth can be influenced through music and film. But unfortunately, we don't get a lot of encouragement. In fact, somebody was advising me the other day, get naked ladies, put them in your video, and you will go viral. I said, and so when I heard you speaking that, no, do good work, stay on doing good things, and one day you will be, discovered. I was so encouraged. So please, how can we have access to people like you, and even your programs in Abuja? How can we come and learn and just be part of it so that we can continue growing? Thank you so much.
So, Osaze, before you answer that question, maybe you'd like to share your organization social media handles so we can put it on the chat box for someone that is also in a relevant industry like you, if they want to get in touch with you for collaboration.
Yeah, okay. Just Google Abuja Photo Festival.
Okay.
We're very active on Instagram and Twitter, and of course our website, the new design website, is very active. Abuja Photo Festival. Then Art for Humanity Foundation Nigeria. Yes, Art for Humanity Foundation Nigeria, and of course the embassy has my contact, and should anyone reach out to our friends at the embassy here in Abuja, please, they have my permission to share my email address. I'll be happy, because the work that I do is actually to mentor young people and see how they are properly built to make their contribution in the world and pass it to others. Not just me, I would also say that I have also mentored young people in Abuja who I can get into this to work with our friend. I think that's Oshogbo. So when we get the conversations going, we'll start looking at the specifics. Of course, we'll be able to discuss that here. Then we'll be able to look at specifics and see how we escalate it. But we'll be very happy to work with you. The photo festival happens every October, every last week of October. Okay, so we've started preparing for the 9th edition, happening 29th to 31st of this year. It's actually an event that your community members, if they can attend it, will be great, because we have people from across Nigeria attending it. So what it does is two things primarily. One, it connects you to a broader community, national community of creatives who are also using the art to promote social change. Then to connect you with mentors. We have found out that the leaders in the art and culture industry in Nigeria are looking for ways to give back. Okay. Now we bring these guys to the photo festival, and after speaking for an hour, 2 or 3 hours in their allocated time in the program, we have found out that they do more 2 or 3 aside during the festival than they would do during the time they are speaking to the general class. So when they are done speaking, we usually will, instead of them to rest and catch their breath, you see them, there are 2 or 3 people with these senior photographers, there are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people with these senior filmmakers, just having that one-on-one engagement, because these men are looking for ways to go give back. So when your community members are able to attend the photo festival, it's going to really serve them. And it's for free. You don't pay to attend the photo festival.
Great. Thank you very much, Osaze. So the Art for Humanity, I didn't get the last thing you said, the foundation.
Foundation Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a question in the chat room before I go to American Space Maiduguri. It said, do you extend the photo festival to other parts of Nigeria, or is only Abuja?
Only Abuja right now, because that's going to take a lot of logistics and funding. Well, as we evolve, we'll be able to do nationwide. But right now, Abuja is the homecoming of photographers and filmmakers across Nigeria for 4 or 5 days.
Okay, thank you. Maiduguri, can you unmute your mic and ask your question?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I'm very encouraged by Alum for today. In a country like ours, Nigeria, photography is not really a career. People don't see it as a career, but seeing somebody that has actually made it and become successful as art, it's very encouraging. So my question is a more personal question actually. In 1994, Kevin Carter won the Pulitzer Prize for picture photography, and his photograph was in Sudan and about a girl about to be eaten by a vulture. So he was trying to, a boy actually, he was trying to get to the United Nations feeding center. So when he took that photograph and won the prize, somebody asked him that what later happened to this boy, and he said the helicopter was in a haste and he went up. So the uproar that it caused actually made him to get more notoriety than the fame he got. So my question is, beyond the photographs you take, can you share experiences of how you have personally helped with the people you have met personally? Because photography involves person to person. So can you share experiences of how you have helped personally to beyond the advocacy, beyond everything, personally on a personal basis? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for that question, even though I quite didn't get your name, but I got the question. So the work that we do, it's beyond if intelligence, we give knowledge, we build the capacity of young photographers and mid-level photographers in the documentary and photojournalism space. We provide them with learning opportunities. Then, of course, the advocacy, where we use visual stories to make cases. But most importantly, we also explore opportunities where the capacity that has been built is able to find means for expression. Okay, now that means for expression is also on two levels. So one, we have the opportunity to showcase their work to the right audience, beyond advocacy, but to get commissions. Then the other thing that we also do is connect these photographers directly to opportunities. I'll give an example. For 2 years, I think that was 2023 and 2024, yes, last year, we went to one of the IDP camps here in Abuja, in Durumi. And what did we do? We went there, taught the teenage girls photography, of course, basic photography. And after the training, they were provided with basic cameras, with which they went around the community to take some thematic pictures. Very simple and straight. These are young people who have seen poverty, they have seen very dark days, they have seen trauma. So after teaching them the basic of photography, we asked them, okay, go around your community, document what happiness means to you, document what hope, what peace, what beauty means to you. And we were amazed the content that we pulled out by these teenage girls. For the first time, we took those images and made an exhibition of it at the camp, at the IDP camp. But we didn't just end it. These images were not properly framed, professionally framed, and we had an exhibition in Wuse 2. Wuse 2 is more like the commercial heart of Abuja. And we invited our friends from different embassies to come and purchase these images that were being exhibited at the gallery, at the Wuse 2 exhibition that we had. The funds that were generated from the sale of these images were given back to these girls to be able to support their education. So they were taught, all right, now the images that they produced from the exhibition was showcased at the camp to celebrate their creativity and just bring excitement and happiness and joy to the IDP community. But we didn't just end there. We took it, we sold those images, and we supported their educational journey, and we did this for 2 years. So our work is not only just about advocating. We are very particular on how we can use this work that we do to specifically advance people's lives. So that's on one hand. Then another thing that one of our community members also did was there's a place in Gariki that erosion was erosion was affecting, okay? So he went there, he documented the whole place. He took the images to the AMAC office in charge of works and infrastructure. Of course, there are many conversations, that fed into that, just like our friend, Mr. Lee, showed us a picture that led to conversations that led to changing, bringing about laws that has impacted how employment is being done in the US. That image that was made from that place in Gariki, shared with government, led to a lot of conversations. And a few months later, we saw tractors working in that location, fixing that erosion, and that place is better off today. So this is the work that we do. Okay, we do not just only take pictures and we're in the media and talking about it. We try to work with stakeholders, because a picture or a visual story doesn't exist all by itself. It has to fit into the larger narrative, to fit into the social narrative in a way that brings other stakeholders to the table for action that benefits the society.
Thank you very much. Because of our time, I'd like to move very fast now. So we go to your window. Please go straight to your question so that we can take as many questions as possible. Thereafter, American Space Ibadan, American Corner Ibadan, then American Corner Calabar. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm very much impressed by the wordings, do good works, do honest work. Okay, I love doing good works. I love impacting lives through an award. But now, as a student, how do I keep this fire bonding due to funding aspects?
Sorry, can you rephrase, or can someone help? I quite didn't get it. I heard, as a student, but I lost the last part of the question.
I'm impressed by your word that you should do good works. I love impacting lives through and giving out quizzes and awards. But now, how do I keep this fire burning due to funding aspects? Thank you.
Oh, due to funding aspect.
He has an initiative, but how will he keep up with that due to funding?
You're making me want to, share a bit personal. So here is it. You have to be ready to put in your personal money into this. You're a student, okay? Even if as little as 5,000 naira, you can save up and see what you can do with that. As a student, you can liaise with the dean or the HOD, if it's a university, then if it's a school, work with some of the school officials to see how they can give you the venue without having to pay. I'm just using, for example, now you want to host an event without having to pay for the venue. Once the venue is off, major part of the money is, off, then you can take the 2,000-3,000 naira. If you get a friend who is a graphics person to partner with you to support this course that you're doing, whatever it is that that is remaining, you can see what, if it's something that requires having to print anything, you can print, take from it, make photocopy, okay, whatever design that have been made, make photocopy and paste that around. Okay, so I said all of this to say that even as little as that, you can work with it to impact just one person. You don't have to look at this at how do I fund a project that impact 100 people. No, you can start with your 5,000 naira and ask yourself, how can I use this to impact one person? How can I use this to impact 2 people? Okay, wherever you are, you can start with what you have. When we started the Abuja Photo Festival in 2017, I used my house rent to fund that project. I took the money I was supposed to use to pay my house rent, I plunged it into Abuja Photo Festival. And even subsequently, personal funds still come in. Yes, now we're getting donors, we're getting partners. But what is important is you have to start with what you have. It is a known story how, 2 loaves and 5 bread fed 5,000. Okay, so with that little that you have, don't look at making an impact of 1 million people yet, 1,000 people yet, just one person. And I'm sure that if you cut a bit of the money you would use for data, if you cut a bit of money you would use for airtime, you should be able to save as little as you can use to start. Start with what you have. We all always have something. If we waited for funding from donors, we waited for funding from the embassies to begin Abuja Photo Festival, my friend, I am sure we wouldn't have been here. We had very little, we had a very tight budget, but we began with it. Look at where we are today. So whether you are a student or not, it doesn't matter. Whether you have 1 naira or you have 1 million, it doesn't matter. You can always start. And trust me, there is always an excuse for you not to start. Defy those excuses and get your dreams going.
Okay, thank you. So sorry, Ibadan, let me quickly take this question on the chat. He said, is there any opportunity for filmmakers? There's a question from Oka.
What kind of opportunities? And
for filmmakers,
what kind of opportunities would you be looking? There are different opportunities within that space. So maybe we have to be specific so that I'll know how to respond.
Okay, Oka, please chat us back and let us know which aspects. Then there's another one. I am interested in photography as a career. How do I go about developing it?
Okay, so developing it, you have to love photography. There's no room for people who are coming to photography to earn a living. You can do a whole lot of other things to earn a living. If you're coming into photography because of waiting man go chop, I would advise you pursue that thing. But if you're coming in because you love this work, You're coming in because you know you have a place in this community. You're welcome. And it starts with you taking lessons. Thank God for the internet. Thank God for social media. There are a lot of material you can feed on just watching videos, checking out people's website and following people on Instagram. But beyond that, you have to pay to attend workshops in your immediate community. Wherever, I'm sure whatever state you must have seen, senior photographers who are organizing workshops. Pay for those workshops, attend them. But beyond paying for workshop and attending, build relationship with these senior photographers to see how you can be their mentee. Now, mentor-mentee relationship is quite interesting, but here is the code to cracking it. Come in as somebody who is willing to serve the objectives and the interests and the goals of this mentor. When you meet the senior photographer, see how you can bring value to their lives. Not just seeking to, I want to learn photography, what can you teach me? No. Ask, how can I bring value to the work that you already do? How can I follow you around just holding light? How can I follow you around just helping you carry your bag while you are shooting? When you come to the table with such attitude, their hearts are going to open. So these are the immediate quick steps that you can use to kickstart your career, your journey in photography. Then also attend cultural events, attend photo festivals within Nigeria and possibly within beyond Nigeria as well. So here you're able to meet people, you're able to make the connections, and you're on your way with your career.
Okay, so the question from Oka, for filmmakers, I mean film screening and others.
The opportunities are there because there are a lot of film festivals that are beginning to come up. And for us who are at the Abuja Photo Festival, like I mentioned, we are bringing in film screening into the things that we do, into the festival that we organize. So if you have a material, reach out. Okay, there are film festivals who are open to receiving films that can be screened even without you make their some that will require you to make some payment. I think there are like 2 or 3. I know one. I'm having a conversation with them on how we can screen a film from somebody from our community for free. So reach out, get your materials out there, and before you even do that, when you put clips of your film on social media, learn how to tag the right people. Beyond social media, look for these film festivals, look for these organizations who use film for advocacy, send them emails, reach out, send them a short email. Of course, their website, their contacts are usually always there. Send them an email, let them know about your film and how your film connects to the work that they do. Okay, send out those code emails. Okay, but just keep at it. Like I said, when you do good work, and your material is solid, someone somewhere is going to see it, and that will open the door, going forward.
Thank you. So we run to Ibadan. Ibadan, please unmute and ask your question. Very fast, direct to the question.
All right. Thank you very much. My question is about storytelling. Because from Mr. Osaze's responses, you can see that right from the beginning, he has been telling stories that even we that are listeners, we can connect what he's saying. And we have a lot of persons that are doing amazing things, but they're not able to tell this kind of stories that can give them the opportunities they are looking for. So how can we learn this process of storytelling and deploy them for what we are doing? Thank you.
How can we do what?
How can we learn this?
Learn the act of storytelling.
Okay. Okay, so a quick way that we can do that is to find out who are the people who are very good at telling stories in Nigeria. Who are the storytellers in Nigeria? So, and I'll highlight quickly. So first of all, look at films. Films that Nigerians made that tells our story. There's some materials from Nollywood. There's some materials on Netflix that speaks to our identity, that speaks to who we are. We're not talking about general, film for entertainment. There's some very strategic films. In fact, one is coming to mind now that is on Netflix. It tells our story so well. look at those films. Don't just watch those films. Don't just see those films as entertainment. Don't just see them as entertainment. Sit down. My wife would sometimes tell me that my husband, stop watching movies with logic. You know, stop using logic. Why are you analyzing this film? It comes naturally to me, okay? Because I see every opportunity to sit down in front of the television for 30 minutes, for 1 hour, beyond just entertainment. I try to see the nuances. And these things subconsciously just impact on how I see the world and the work that I do. So look at those contents, all right? I know there are many comic skits now on social media. Please cut down on that. Spend the time on social media looking for material that will educate and inform the work that you do. That's one. Then secondly, look at very senior photographers from Nigeria and even abroad. See how they tell stories with their work. Just go to their website. Study the work that they do just by looking at their website. Okay? That will give you immediate education. Then, of course, there are materials on YouTube. All right? Then also read books. Spend time. There are ebooks on the internet. Just books on storytelling, articles on storytelling. Read those materials. Some of them you might not be able to, comprehend and grasp them immediately, but somehow, subconsciously, they are influencing and impacting on your mind. Okay, I am saying this basic because they are what you can easily have access to. You don't need to particularly start thinking of how to attend the New York Film Academy. That could be the long term, but there are materials online. There are people in your community. There are storytellers in your communities that you can have sit down with. Even our aged parents, our uncles, our aunts, that we can sit down with and ask them some historical questions where they will tell you how things were. And as you are listening to just having that conversation with the old folks in your community, your mind is picking something that you may not even realize. And that going forward will impact on the work that you do. I do a lot of sit down with senior photographers in Nigeria. Sometimes I pay to go and visit them in Lagos, spend a day or two in their library, just have a conversation with them because I want to get into their mind. I may not be able to afford going to New York Film Academy. I may not be able to go to the Storytelling Academy in other parts of the world, but I can go to Lagos. I can sit down with somebody from Abuja and just hear how they see the world and how they tell the stories that they tell. So beyond the cultural and artistic community, you should also expand your learning to people in the legal profession, people in the medical profession, people in politics. Sit down and just listen. Just listen to how these people are telling the story within the work that they do. So these are the immediate things that we can pick up and shape who we are in the work of storytelling that we want to do.
Let me go to Calabar. I can see Kefi also has a question. So Calabar, please direct to the question because of our time. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. And thank you, Mr. Osaze, for enlightening us this morning. Well, I'm a sound designer and voiceover artist, so I guess I would like to know, it's a photo festival you have going on, and as it progresses and as it grows, have you already started working with sound designers and voiceover artists? I think sound, when it comes to visuals, can kind of put things together. So have you started working with sound designers and voiceover artists in the storytelling aspect? And do you plan on doing so as time progresses? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So right now, we just moved into film. Okay, so sound art is going to come sometime in the future. So we've done photography for about 7 years. Last year we started experimenting with film. Okay, but now that we're doing film, of course, film goes with sound. And of course, with your question, that has also served as a challenge for us to start looking how we bring sound art into it. There is this sound artist, a Nigerian sound artist in the US, Emeka, I can't remember his name. He's doing amazing work. His sound art is exhibited in one of the Smithsonian museums. His sound art is amazing. He just collected sound, everyday sound from the streets of Lagos and made it into something really amazing. That just listening to it, you would think that you're in Obalende, you would think that you're in Nosodi. Wow. A beautiful work, a beautiful material. So it's something that we're looking to incorporate into the work that we do.
Maybe Calabar can take it up from Calabar and exhibit a little sound, audio and sound festival. That would be great. Thank you. Kefi, can you unmute and ask your question? We cannot hear you, sir.
Unmute your mic.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, so sorry.
Maybe you like to. Maybe you like to chat it.
Kefi, write on the chat, please.
Grace, Osaze, I don't know. While we are waiting for Kefi, maybe in a minute, I don't know if you have the last word to give to our audience.
I would like to add something before you give the last word. I have some kids who believe that God has given them the ability to draw. In fact, some of them will not even listen to their teachers. While in class, they are drawing. And it has become a big challenge for some of the parents. So I wanted to know, how would parents, tackle such a problem? It has become a monumental problem that they won't just focus. They believe they can just draw and draw and draw and draw. They can draw for hours. So this hard thing, yes, it's a gift, but is there really money there? Over to you, sir.
Bro, there's money in everything. There's money in everything, Prof. So the quick thing is, why not put children in arts school? So I think it's very simple. Thankfully, the world is changing. Before now, you tell someone you want to be a photographer, and they will wonder what like village people are finally caught up with you. That so you use photography you want to use to feed your take care of yourself and feed the family. But the world is changing. Somebody then will say you want to be a footballer. You would ask, go and do something serious with your life. But of course, look at how the world has turned out today. You want to be a musician during the days of Raskimono and all of that. But look at what our guys in the Afrobeat space are doing. The children who are so passionate about painting, I think that's already a very clear indicator to the parents on how these children want to move their life, going forward. It's okay to want to have the child be a lawyer, a doctor, be an engineer, an accountant. But again, like I always say, there is science, there is technology, there is engineering, and there's mathematics. But we know that what has shaped the culture so much, it's the art. The art is that powerful. So instead of having it as STEM, my advocacy has been, let's have it as STEAM. Art has to be somewhere there. When the good work is done and seen by the right audience, there will always be a financial reward for it. Okay, so I would advise that the parents explore the possibility of also looking at what gives these children fulfillment. They can insist for them to go study other things and kill that talent. And there's a possibility that those kids are going to live as broken adults when they grow up, because that love was taken away from them. So how do we find a common ground? Yes, you want to draw your passion about that. Okay, I put you in an art school, but also see how their mind is exposed to other things. Why not killing that passion that they have? So I would humbly suggest, I may be wrong, but I would humbly suggest that the parents explore having those children in the art school. Like I had mentioned, I know, yeah, this is quite fragile. So I'm quite conscious with my words. So I would see their passion. Let's harness it for good. Okay, let's harness it for good. Let's not kill it. My dad actually wanted me to be a medical doctor. Even I can't even stand blood. But I was told by my doctor friends that they would have conditioned my mind to be able to stand blood. There are gory images on social media that people post. I don't even bother opening it because I can't stand such, such stuff. So I ended up studying agriculture, which of course I'm beginning to look at investing, even though I may not practice it by being a full farmer, but I can invest in agriculture because that is what I studied in university, must not go to waste. But this is what I love, empowering and inspiring and mentoring young people within the arts and sectors. And I can do this forever. And thankfully, it's becoming financially rewarded. I remember then my mom would call from Benin. When I told her I was going to photography, she would call and be crying that my Peking, is this, now so you want to end up? You go marriage, you go wedding, go to snap people, say, brother, make I snap you, sister, make I snap you. She would literally call and be crying like, how could you have studied agriculture, University of Benin? You graduated with a good degree and you said that picture, work, you want to go do my picking, like, what's in this? But today, the picture took me to America. Yeah. So let's these kids grow up as happy adults.
Thank you.
Okay, so Kefi finally typed their question. He said, I'd love to be a wildlife photographer, but still wondering how it is possible to make this dream a reality as a Nigerian in a very low thinking society.
So that's quite a thing, because we really do not have wildlife in Nigeria. We've done all the animals to bushmeat. But however, you could start with something. So this is how these things work. Your career can, you can make adjustments to it as you grow. So you can have a flair, you can have an interest for wildlife photography, okay? But that's a very, very tiny area of practice, in all honesty, in Nigeria. Because of, even if you're in Kenya, if you're in countries where they have huge reserves, you could go there and document stories. But even the reserve that we have in one of the northern states, it's poorly managed. So you won't be able to really produce good material that you can sell, beyond the shores of beyond the shoulder. But you could start with where you are. You could bring in landscape into it. Okay, we have huge landscape. I was in just last week and I saw how across Nigeria we have very huge, beautiful landscape as a country. So you could bring that into it. And I would recommend you check out Hakeem Salam, Hakeem, H-A-K-E-E-M, Salam, S-A-L-A-A-M, Hakeem Salam. You could check him out on Instagram. He's an amazing landscape photographer in Nigeria. I think he's in Abuja. He has done huge work. If you send him a DM, I'm sure he'll be able to, enlighten you. So I would advise, don't just lock yourself within one area of practice. That can be limiting. Okay, but start with that and build into it. Think of how you can connect wildlife into documentary, wildlife into portrait, wildlife into landscape, and fuse it and expand your scope of practice so that you'll be able to make something meaningful from it.
We have totally run out of time. I have 2 questions on the chat box. If you can take it within 2 minutes, I can read it up while I invite Grace, the American Center Director in Abuja, for the closing remarks. Uyo said, how can someone with interest in filmmaking handle issue of discouragement from parents and guardians for reasons of exposure to erotic or misleading situations? Kindly advise. Then Josh says, do you have specific themes for your annual photography festival?
Okay, just quickly, yes, we have teams every year. All right, this year is a world connected. That's the team for this year. You could check out the details on our website, abujaphotofestival.com. Then for our friend in Uyo, it's a lonely journey. Okay, it's a lonely journey, but again, too, you have to find a balance. Your parents are your parents. You must learn to listen to them, and make sure you keep to your responsibility at home, because if they give you trouble at home, you won't be able to focus in creating your art. Okay, so if they ask you to do whatever task at home, you must be able to obey your parents, okay, obey your guardians. You're still under their roof, they are still feeding you. You need the saneness of that home front to be able to do what you want to do. All right. Now, speaking of erotic content, that's not the only content. All right. So find your thematic area. Okay. I'm a documentary photographer. Okay. I did event photography. I still do portraits, but particularly when the money is good. But at heart, I'm a documentary photographer. When just last week, like I said, to do something around renewable energy. Okay. So find your niche, find your story, stay with it. There are erotic stories out there, but that's not the only story. All right, there are sexual content stories out there. That is not the story. From your immediate community, look for what makes your people your people. Like I always say, there are over 200 million Nigerians. So there are over 200 million stories in Nigeria. Find one or two of those stories that speaks to what your values are and how it relates and connects to your immediate community, and take it off from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Osaze. I'd like to invite Grace. Grace?
Thank you so much, Osaze. So much to learn, so much to say, and he's doing a very beautiful work out there with the Abuja Film Festival. He has directed all of us to his website to see some of the things they're doing and get more inspired. Once again, we want to thank you for coming on this program today. Also, I want to appreciate everyone from our spaces. I can call all your names, Kefi, Orca, Ibadan, and everyone else out there. We really thank you for your time. I'm sure we all enjoyed this session. That's why we've added extra 20 minutes to the time. But I see that we still have a lot of questions. Feel free to go to our Facebook page and ask your questions there also. We'll respond to them, and we can also get Osaze to respond to some of the questions. And I want to thank the team here at the embassy, the team working behind the scene to put this together. Thank you so much for your time. In Lagos, also shout out to you for doing a fantastic job. And we have come to the end of the session, but we also have other programs of American Spaces coming up. I'm sure you want to see a practical session of some of the photography lessons that Osaze talks about and much more. So please be our guest. We have our session on Monday, which is our youth development series. So we have that on Monday. I hope you keep a date with us. And then we also have another one on Tuesday. Please check on our website, keep a date with us, and we hope to see you next week. Thank you and bye.
Thank you, everyone. See you on Monday.